Hello guys, welcome to Seoul in South Korea, and I'm sitting right next to, guess who?
Simon!
Simon Lee, the
Right.
founder of Flitto, the grand
Right.
winner of Seedstars World 2014 edition. How are you doing, man?
It cannot be better. You know, it's awesome. Everything's so cool. So far, so good. And I'm so happy with you guys.
And look where we are. We are actually in a karaoke place in Seoul. Couldn't be any more cliche than that. So I'll be interviewing Simon with that very old-fashioned microphone. So how's it going since you won Seedstars World? Simon?
Well, we got investment from like big investors. So we're doing great. You know, we're selling our data pools to big IT companies, and now we're over break even. Right now we have more than 22 employees, and we have an office in Silicon Valley, and in Beijing, and in Korea.
Wow. So it's getting global.
Yeah, it's getting global. Our service is like global service, translation service. So definitely, you know, we have to go global.
So what happened to you right after you won Seedstars World? How was the Seedstars World experience first? Could you tell a little bit more about those that are going to experience it?
Yeah, Europe is like the place where we always wanted to go because, you know, you guys speak more than a language. So we just wanted to talk to all these people from Europe. And my experience at a Seedstars World was amazing. You know, we won the final competition and we got the credibility down there. So whenever we get a chance to talk to these big IT companies, our potential partners, they read the articles and they believed in us. So it made us easier to make a partnership with those big companies.
So have you seen more users from Europe coming up on Flitto?
Yeah, of course, it's like 10 times more users than before.
Right. So now, where are your main customers? Are they still in Korea/US? Do you have more? Is more spread? Do you see how is it going?
Well, it's pretty much a spread, you know. And right now it's like 50 from like western part, 50 from like eastern part. It's like almost 50-50.
So you guys know Simon is quite famous now in Korea. I was watching you. He's a superstar. It's like, you know, the whole Gangnam Style is just nothing. It's just Flitto that. And I saw you on TV. So there was this massive amphitheater with 500 people, and you were like being broadcasted on TV. So you become quite famous here in Korea. So
Right.
you're representing a lot.
Right.
To whom exactly? Like.
So, you know, the Korean startup environment has been there only for like 2 years. So there's like a lot of college students or like little kids who wants to run their own startup. So what I'm doing there is like I'm actually saying, you know, my experience, you know, what I've done to run my own business, and some good things and bad things about like running your own business, and how we achieved final award from Seedstars World. Yeah. No.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are the main tips that you give to Korean entrepreneurs? Like, what is the main 3 tips you would give to them now?
Like, you know, it's like simple. Believe in yourself, you know, and get some self-confidence.
That's 2, I want 3.
Be like Simon.
Be like me, just look at me, just be
Yeah,
like
be
me. That's the whole
Be like
thing.
Simon, right?
So you say 2 years ago there were pretty much no startups. You started when just the ecosystem was starting to arise in Seoul. And so how is it looking now? Do you see a lot more startups? And in which industry especially?
Way more, because Korean government is supporting startup a lot. They're spending like $7 billion every year just on startups.
Wow.
And that builds up like tons of startups in Korea. So if you guys are like looking to run your business in Asian countries, you know, I think South Korea is the best place for you to do some, you know, marketing or like get some users. It's really great, you know. You can use credit card everywhere you go. Even you
can
pay
get fast delivery of chicken anywhere you want without experienced staff.
now, even $1 you can use credit card. You know? It's awesome.
Pretty much.
Right.
So we were in Japan last week. We also see a lot more startups. You've been to Japan as well, right? How would you compare Japan and Korea in terms of the startups you see coming out of there?
So Japan and Korea is like pretty much similar in startup environment. It's like growing really fast. And, you know, Seoul and Tokyo is pretty big capital city. So, and both countries are very developed in IT. So I think, you know, 2 countries are pretty much similar.
So you see, what kind of startups do you see coming out of Seoul? Because when we had the competition, which was 2 days ago now, we saw a lot of social network applications, lots of applications in general, very few B2B, lots of B2C. and stuff that could actually come out of Silicon Valley as well.
Right.
So there seem to be a lot of copycats, but they look at a global level straight because the Korean market is quite small, right?
Right.
So what do you think that's a sustainable way to build the ecosystem, or do you think Korea should specialize in some area like translation, for example?
What I think is that Korea should be specialized in some part where like Koreans can do best. You know, for example, I'm doing translation business because we feel the language barrier, and there's like a lot of startups there where they focus on like Korean content, which can go out global, like tiny little Asian content. Like cute content that can go global, and those companies are actually doing great in Asia. And they're trying to go out global, even in Europe or like in America.
So you see lots of gaming companies, for example?
Like Korea, Korea is like really famous in gaming field. Yeah, well, they focus on like Asian content and they do great with those kind of content.
Do you have some examples of like really, really successful gaming company right now in Korea?
Yeah, we have Nexon, NCSoft, like Gameville, Comtus. They're all ranked in 10 among like whole game companies around the world.
Wow, that's quite impressive.
Yeah, they're doing great.
So you are one of the big success stories in the ecosystem right now. You raised big funding, that's a lot of users, becoming a global company, becoming an example for South Korean entrepreneurs. What are the other success stories that have been around in the ecosystem, apart from Flitto, which is obviously the biggest success story?
In Korea?
Yeah.
So we have this company called... I can hear the music.
Yeah. They have a really bad voice in the background. So we were much better.
So there's this company called SE Works. They're focused on like security, mobile security. They're doing great in Silicon Valley, even they're Korean companies. And there's this company called Malang Studio.
Yeah. We slept with them.
Yeah, right. And they developed this alarm application, and it's doing great around the world. They already got like 14 million downloads. And there's this company called I don't know how to say it, like delivery application, and it's doing great here in Korea, and they're trying to go out global.
That's a very interesting part I'd like to touch base on. We experienced that. So we were by the river in Seoul. We wanted to order some Korean chicken, and we got it delivered within 20 minutes. You just had an app. You just order your chicken and they came to deliver anywhere in the street, not just in an address specifically, but anywhere in the street where you are. Right. And then you can pay by credit cards.
Right.
So that's typical Korean, or can you find it somewhere else?
That's pretty much typical Korean. But it can work in China or in Japan or like any other like Asian countries.
So what company is doing this in Korea?
So the name of the company is called, I forgot.
It's a good name.
Oh yeah, it's
Uha
Brothers.
Uha Brothers.
Right, Uha Brothers.
How big are they now?
They're like, their valuation is like over, I don't know, 10 to 20 million.
10 to 20 million dollars.
Yeah, within like 2 years,
And they are only in Korea.
They're only in Korea, and they're doing all this TV commercial. And it's huge. Everyone knows that company.
Right. Do you see them starting to scale elsewhere in
Asia?
Asia?
Definitely, yeah. They're spending more on marketing, and they're looking for some opportunity in the Asian market.
Okay, so there's gaming we just talked about, translation service with Flitto, obviously. There is a delivery service. Where else do you think South Korean startups could excel?
Like
in the global market?
Yeah, like characters. Korean like cartoon or like animation characters. They're doing great around the world. So we have this character called Pororo. They're pretty much famous in Europe. Little kids, it's like a penguin character. They love, like little kids in Europe, they love this character. And there's this character called Lava. It's pretty much famous character around the world. So they're doing great in character like area, that field, right?
And a winner is a startup called K-pop.
Crowd pop.
Right.
Crowd pop. And so what they do is trying to help K-pop artists to go into other markets globally. Do you see that another trend, the whole like K-pop industry, or do you see?
Yeah, well, K-pop is pretty much hot these days around the world. So they're trying to use that content to grow their business. And I think no one has ever done that before. So I think we gotta see, what they're doing.
Okay. So what about investment? So when you pitched at Seedstars World, Seedstars Zero back a year ago,
Right.
you had no investment yet.
Right.
It was just your own money.
Right.
How did you get from no money to something like $3.8 million?
No, actually, I had $800,000 US as a seed funding,
Okay.
and I got like 3 million more right after Seedstars World. And how?
Yeah, how does it work? Like, how do you get funding in South Korea when you have a startup like Flitto?
I got incubated from Techstars, which is like most famous incubator around the world, and I was a winner of Seedstars final, and that gave credibility to investors that they're actually doing good and there's like potential in our business, and that made us easier to get investment from them.
So when you pitch for your $3 million funding, you mentioned Seedstars World, and then you think
Yeah,
that
definitely.
helped.
Yeah,
That helped.
Yeah, that was on my first page of IR. It's like I won this global competition. This tiny, small Korean startup won this global competition, and they're like, "Oh, really?" And they looked for articles, and oh, yeah, there it is.
Because I'm trying to look back at the competition, so that's where we met you. We met you in during the boot camp in Lausanne, I remember, in Switzerland.
Right.
And I remember you the first few days being very, very focused, very tense, and then you went through the competition, then you won, and then you released some kind of pressure. Like, how did you feel right after winning? Because I saw you very tense the whole time during
really?
the competition. Yeah. It's not the it's not the Simon you still time. During the competition, you were very, very focused. I think you were there to win, right? And then afterwards, it's just like release all these pressure.
No, it's not because of the competition. It's because Geneva is the. I've never been to Geneva before, and I'm not. I don't feel comfortable surrounded by foreigners, and. I'm not being a racist, but it's like I'm surrounded by all these foreigners. It's really hard to find foreigners out here in Korea, so that gave me some kind of tension. But after winning all this competition, I just felt like I got more used to the environment, and I never feel the tension,
Right.
At that Simon.
Because you've been. This is Simon Lee. Yeah. In a nutshell.
Right.
So what about you were mentioning the government? So you see more and more investment coming in.
Yeah, they're doing great.
From abroad, but also from the government.
Yeah,
so
from government.
How much money are they investing? And
they're not actually. Well, they invest some part of their support, but they just give grant to startups to start their own business, from like $30,000 US to up to like $200,000 US.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
It's equity free.
Equity free.
Wow.
Right.
Did you ever get any?
Yeah, right. I got $200,000 US.
Equity free.
Yeah, equity free
from the government. So that's pretty unique in Korea. Or
right. Oh well, but I can name like thousands of companies that got grant from government.
So it's not only for startups; it's for any kind of company. In
right.
So Seedstars World incorporated in South Korea next week.
Right,
we're going to incorporate Seedstars World in Korea and get a little $200,000 equity free. So it's only for Korean companies, or
for only for Korean companies, because they're investing Korean tax on companies, right?
Right.
And even Malang, they got 200,000.
Wow.
Right.
This is quite impressive. So I think that's pretty unique.
Right.
In the world as well.
Because Korean government is trying to build up a startup environment artificially, because there hadn't been this kind of environment before. So they're investing a lot of money on that.
But do you think it's all about money? Because this is already it's a lot of money flowing in, so it's definitely helping startups to sustain and keep going. Maybe some good ideas, maybe some bad ideas.
Right.
As well. But do you feel it's the only thing that you need? Don't you need other things to make the SEAL ecosystem really like a big startup ecosystem?
Well, definitely not. There's like pros and cons. That kind of support, like investing money. The pros is like actually those students who are trying to get a job in big companies. They're starting their own business with the grant. But cons is like unqualified companies. They can actually get the support too, and they use that money to buy their own cars and those kind of stuff. And always there's like pros and cons.
So they played like Silicon Valley jet setters before they even
right.
exist,
But I find more pros there, So
Yeah.
which means there's more good things.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they're always, it's like any kind of investment, they're always good investment values.
Right.
And the good ones overtake. Like,
Because you have to think about like Korean culture. The best thing, like Korean culture is more like doing our own business. More like get a job in big companies like Samsung,
Yeah.
Hyundai, LG. So your parents always tell your kids like you have to get a job in big companies. So if you tell your parents that I'm gonna do my own job, I'm gonna do my own business, they freak out.
Did they freak out in your case?
Well, my mom said, "Oh, it's okay, but don't take even like a penny from my house. Okay, it's all your own. Okay, don't take
Right.
anything out of my house."
Ownership.
Right.
Yeah.
So Korean government is like supporting those kind of like kids or like college students so that they can actually start their own business.
So you think it's mainly college students, kids? Like, it's not
Probably.
like corporates, like guys with like 10, 20 years experience at Samsung?
So what I think is like more than 50% is like college students or like who just graduated college, and maybe 30% is like who actually have a job in big companies, and other 20 is like etc.
Do you think the government, through this, like injecting all this money in the system, is helping to change the culture? Because to me, it's like either you change the culture, which takes a lot of time, and obviously it's not going to be
Right.
done in a day,
Right.
or then you put this money to sustain them and convince them to remain entrepreneurs.
Right.
Do you think the culture is going to change over time?
I can actually see that it's slowly changing because every day and in TV commercial you can see this startup founder. He comes out and say, if you're brave, you have to do your own business, something like that, and it changes the culture like little by little.
Right.
Right.
Is it something? How did you get from? Because so your background is you used to work for a bigger company before,
Right.
and then you move into like you started Flitto.
Right.
So how did you take this decision to move from, a very corporate background to entrepreneurship?
So I used to be an investor for like 4 years, working for this company called SK, one of the largest company in Korea. And I had $2 billion in my pocket. Well, it's not my money; it's my company money. And I was like traveling around the world, looking for a right company to invest. And suddenly I realized that money, $2 billion, is not my money. And if I leave my company, there's nothing behind me. So I just decided to run for my own dream instead of working for my company.
Is it the idea of leaving a legacy?
Yeah, I just wanted to live my own life, not following others' dogma.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what you're doing now when you talk to these young crowds of students and college kids. Like
Right.
you telling them follow your dreams.
Yeah, it's like no one knows you can die tomorrow, right? But right before you die, you have to think that you lived your own life.
Right.
Right.
So if you die right now,
Yeah.
you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, I'm pretty much happy, because I actually tried hard to live my own life.
So if we end up dying after this crazy,
Say it again.
karaoke,
Yeah, right. You might see my face like smiling, like this.
it's pretty amazing.
Bye.